so I stopped being lazy. Yeah, and I became creative. And I learned how to create it. And now that pride's for me. So come see. Oh, come eat.
Falcons beat the motherfucking Philadelphia Eagles in Philadelphia on Monday Night Football. Let's go ahead and get into this damn thing. So, first thing I want to acknowledge, Philadelphia's Eagles played a tight game. They did not have the number one wide receiver, A.J. Brown. Also, I'm going to acknowledge that I'm a little bit inebriated. Been watching the Falcons. Y'all know how I go when you watch the Falcons. Sometimes you got to get a little inebriated to get through the game. But I did get through it, and I'm so happy I did. I'm also want to announce that my original prediction was 27. I want to say 27-14. I thought the Eagles were going to win pretty handily. Now I made my prediction before AJ Brown was in. I didn't think the Falcons' offense would be that great. They were still not the best here, but they did what they wanted to do in this game. And just judging by how many times they ran the ball, I want to say that I feel like the plan was to shorten the game, keep it a short game, make sure that it wasn't a high scoring game, but a low scoring game, or a medium scoring game, as what it turned out to be. And they were going to lean on their defense, their run game, and just make it a tight game at the end and see if they could execute down the end. And in this situation, the Falcons got lucky some, but outside of the luck, the Falcons really performed. Now, as far as the luck is that Saquon Barkley dropped a easy catch for a first down that probably would have won in the game. So I want to acknowledge that. I don't want to get so excited that I ignore those things, but the Atlanta Falcons moved to 1-1. Huge needed win. Obviously, I try to keep up with everybody in the NFC South just to make sure I know how our teams in our division are playing. The Bucks, they look great. I watched both of their games I watched part of the game against the Commanders, but I watched a pretty good, decent amount of the game against the Lions. They trucked over the Commanders. They battled with the Lions and won it at the end. They look really good. The Saints, they look like the 2016 Falcons at the last four games of the year. I don't know why I'm putting my hand in the mic. Must be the alcohol. Blame it on alcohol. Last 4 games of the year. That's how the Saints look. They are only giving up like 14.5 points a game. They're scoring like 45 points a game. But it's just the first 2 games of the year. It's a long season, a lot to keep up with. This was a huge win for the Falcons just because the Saints and Bucks were playing so well. Also want to go ahead and point out or shout out Bryce Young. Hope he gets that shit together. I know that he's getting benched right now. I don't really fuck with the Panthers like that, but I do feel sorry for Bryce Young. The Panthers are like they're fucking being awful. If I'm being candid about how I personally feel about them, the Panthers are awful. So it sucks that Bryce is, getting to be the person who's the victim in all of this in terms of, just them sucking so bad that somebody got a role and it's gonna be his, even though he's a young guy. But let's go ahead and get back to the game tonight. So, saw a lot of things tonight that the Falcons did not do against the Steelers. Falcons made it a point to go under center. They made it a point to run play action passes. Kirk Cousins, at the end of the game, he said, hey, he still didn't feel good. He still didn't feel like he was performing to the best of his ability. That's great to hear because, and one thing you want to get when the team says, hey, we can be better, is a win, right? We just lost last week. It would have been nice to win that game and hear Kirk say, hey, even though we won, we still need to get better. We lost last week. We won this week on the road against a playoff caliber team. And Kirk says he can be better. I believe he can be better. I know he missed a couple of throws down the field. But this time, he didn't really miss them in terms of he didn't miss them in terms of, he made the throw, but it was just too short or too long or whatever. He just didn't see him, right? So that's there's points left on the board. But the main thing that we care about here is just that the Falcons came away with a W. Defense really held it down. I predicted the Eagles to score 27 points. I had that prediction with AJ Brown. I didn't record it. I wish I would have, but I kind of predicted them to score about 20 without AJ Brown. They scored 21, so I was around in line there. I predicted the Falcons to score 14. They scored 22. God bless the Falcons. Love that they did that. Love the way they did that. The hugest thing right here, one of the things to be excited about if you're a Falcons fan like me, is just seeing how when you get the ball with a minute and 39 seconds left, that the game isn't over because you got Desmond Ridder or Marcus Mariota throwing the damn ball, right? I think in Arthur Smith's first year, Matt Ryan was still able to pull some rabbits out of his hat late in games, right? So I know for a fact when we played the Saints, we got the ball back left. We got the ball back. Matt Ryan threw a deep pass to Cordell Patterson. We were able to complete a few more passes, win that game on a game-winning drive. We didn't really see that when Desmond Ridder and Marcus Mariota were in the game. Now, we did have some W's, right? Against the Panthers when Marcus Mariota was the starting quarterback at home now. We did have that play where DJ Moore scored that crazy cut touchdown. They missed the PAT because of a penalty. And then the Falcons ended up winning in overtime. I think Desmond Ridder also won one. I'm trying to remember who he won against. I had one right off the top of my head. I'm pretty sure he won one. I want to say it was against the Texans and also the Bucks, where Desmond Ridder performed late for us to win. But it was just a different situation. It felt completely different with this situation where the Falcons had a minute 39 left. They had a minute 39 left. Kirk Cousins marched right down the field. He looked extremely confident on that drive. The offensive line looked great on that drive. And the Falcons were able to score with 34 seconds left. So that means the Falcons scored a touchdown against the Philadelphia Eagles defense that they had been having a hard time punching the ball in through the end zone the whole game. They were able to go ahead and score the go-ahead touchdown with 34 seconds left. In fact, actually, I'm willing to call that the game-winning touchdown. The Falcons on defense, they really held up. And I was saying a lot because the Eagles really were giving them some fits in the run game a little bit. That was kind of a huge concern for me, that the Eagles' size at the point of attack, which is going to be a little bit too physical for us, and they were actually going to do to us what we did to them, which was in turn to shorten the game, but also making sure that by shortening the game, they also were extremely efficient in the red zone and scored touchdowns. They did score a couple touchdowns, but ultimately the Falcons kept them in check. They only scored 21 points today. I think they scored 32 points last week against the Packers. We did what we wanted to do for the most part. Still want to see some more pressure. We didn't really get a ton of pressure or as much pressure as I hoped. Matt Judon did get a sack. That was good to see. But I want to see more pressure than we got. Now, I think we can get more pressure if we play more quarterbacks that aren't as mobile. Jalen Hurts, Justin Fields. When you talk about the mobility meter as far as quarterbacks go, you're heading to the top of the class. Those are two of the most mobile quarterbacks in the league. And they do it in different ways, but they're both big guys. Now, Justin Fields is a little bit more speed-based. Jalen Hurts a little bit more power-based, but both of them do pretty well in both of those fields due to their size and strength and speed. So that was great that we were able to contain that. Devontae Smith still had a decent game, but he didn't wreck the game, and that's kind of a big thing. Devontae Smith, decent game, didn't wreck the game. Saquon Barkley, decent game, didn't wreck the game. Jalen Hurts, decent game, didn't wreck the game. Also, seeing Jesse Bates get that pick at the end, that was huge. The whole reason we brought in Jesse Bates, the whole reason we had Justin Simmons, is to be able to patrol the middle of the field. As I said in my very first video regarding the Falcons versus the Steelers, is that a lot of these games are going to come. It's not so much about the stats that they rack up, in throughout the game, so much as it is the stats that they rack up in certain situations, right? So when we look at the Falcons on third down, when we look at the Falcons on fourth down, when we look at the Falcons in the red zone, last 2 minutes of the half, right? Now we gave up a lot of third down completions. They got a lot of third and shorts. They got a couple of fourth shorts. We did get a stop in the first quarter, huge stop. That stopped them, and you know what's funny about that? So just so you know a little bit more about my personality, I'm big on just taking the points, right? I don't think that points in the NFL are so easy to come by that you should be going for them on fourth down as much. I think a lot of teams need to go ahead and relax about all of this going for it on fourth down. You got 3 points in the bag, especially because they go for it on fourth down in first, second, and third. I'm like, what the hell are you doing? Those are points. You go ahead and get the points on the board. You let the game play out, and then you adjust accordingly. Philadelphia decided they needed to go for it on 4th and 4, right? From what will be a chip shot field goal. And what do you know it? They lose by 1 point. If they would have gone for 3 back then while they had the ball, could have been a completely different game. They did not. Thank you, Philadelphia. That helped us win. And I'm always going to be that way. I play spades sometimes. When you play two-hand pluck, that's when you have. Now, I can't explain the rules of spades if you don't know spades, but if you do know how to play spades, and I'm assuming if you're an Atlanta Falcons fan, you know how to play spades. If you know how to play spades, two-hand pluck is just, you shuffle the deck. You took a look at the first card. If you want to keep that card, you keep it. If you don't want it, you throw it away. You just keep the second card, right? Now, what I believe in is always taking the point. So if I'm playing two-hand pluck, if I reach and I see a spade, I'm keeping the spade and I'm throwing away whatever the next card is regardless, because to me, spades are points, right? Same thing about the NFL, about, decision making in the NFL in the end of the game, or at least in the beginning. You don't throw away points. The Eagles threw away points, and what did they need at the end of the game that they did not have? They did not have points, and because the Falcons were able to stop them right then, that was honestly one of the biggest plays of the game in the first quarter, right? So later as the game goes, we see that the Eagles are able to get some push. They're not able to necessarily win on every down, but they are getting pretty dominant. At the end of the game, they kept running it. They were moving the ball with ease, and I don't know why the Philadelphia Eagles decided to throw the ball in that play. Maybe they were trying to end the game. If they were trying to end the game, I will not knock that, right? But you run the ball, you run the clock, you win the game. It gives me shades of 2016. When we went to that damn Super Bowl against the Patriots, I said, hey, at some point, you're not playing the other team. You're playing the clock. The Eagles were not playing the Falcons at some point. They were playing the clock, and they still went ahead. They still went for it on. They still chose to throw for it, and they ended up having an incompletion there, and that specifically gave them Falcons enough time for them to win the game. So that is huge. I still think we could use more help on the pass rush. I was pleased with most of the coverage for tonight from the secondary and the linebackers. Tackling could use some work, but I was pleased. I was pleased with the plays that Caden Ellis and Troy Anderson made. Troy Anderson did miss some tackles. I'm going to go ahead and call it out now. But I'm really pleased by Troy Anderson. He has not played a ton of linebacker, but I'm starting to see that his instincts are starting to come through, right? So there was a few plays. There was definitely a play where Jalen Hurts had a quarterback run to the outside, and Troy Anderson made the play. And he had to go over the top of guys and make the play. And I remember thinking to myself, damn, with Troy, he just used to, his instincts used to be bad. He would have been a step or two late on that play. Troy Anderson is starting to come through. And Nate Landman would have been huge in this game, but with Troy being able to take all the snaps in this game outside of Nate, I think we saw the ways that Troy improved. Troy still has ways to go as far as being a tackler, a consistent and solid tackler, but his instincts are getting a lot better, and that's huge. I'm huge for that. I remember his rookie year when the Falcons, when Marcus Murray is still the quarterback, they played the Rams in LA, and I think the first touchdown the Rams scored, it was right over Troy Anderson's outstretched fingers, and I just remember thinking, oh man, if he just gets a little bit more instincts, right, he's going to be a lot better of a linebacker. And we saw that tonight because the Falcons would not have held the Philadelphia Eagles tonight to 21 points without Troy Anderson making some plays, even though he did miss some. That was huge. Him honestly being a serviceable linebacker is already huge because that's still not him playing to the maximum ability he has as a linebacker as far as his athletic ability. But his instincts are looking a lot better. He's serviceable, and once he starts to get more comfortable, I think he's going to be a lot better. It was huge seeing Drake London get a touchdown this game. I would still like to see more of Drake London. I know Kirk. I think Kirk has a more of a penchant for separation. And when you throw to Drake London, some of the times he's not gonna be wide open, but he's gonna be open. So Kirk gonna have to be okay with taking a little bit more chances with Drake London that way. But on the play that they scored the touchdown on, I know Kirk said that Drake he got a lot of separation on that play. He damn sure did. That's his kind of play. I think Drake's going to be able to be a huge red zone weapon going forward if they take what they saw tonight and apply it to future games going forward. Go ahead and give Zach Robinson some credit. Now we only scored 22 points, so I'm not going to sit here and act like Zach Robinson was the second coming of Jesus and that he did what the Saints were doing the last couple of weeks. But Zach Robinson came out with a plan tonight. It looked way better than against the Steelers. Like they were much more unpredictable tonight. And I'll admit I was a little concerned in the early goings when I saw basically run pass. I was like, so we passing it on third down and only running it on first and second down and making ourselves that predictable. Whereas run pass, where as long as we get the first downs, it's fine. But when it's third down, everybody knows it's pass. I mean, the same situation we were against the Steelers. But Zach Robinson mixed it up a little bit more, making sure that we quell the pass rush. Also, right now, I need to give credit to the offensive line. I think Kirk only got sacked once. Offensive line played way better this week. Caleb McGarry played better. Everybody played better this week. And after seeing how the Steelers handled the Broncos, I think the Broncos didn't score a touchdown. The Steelers won 13-6, I believe. I'm seeing that first game of the year, Kirk hadn't played. Nobody on the first team had played in preseason. This new system. I know Kirk had played in the system before, but he hadn't played with this offensive coordinator, so that changes. Kirk in the new system. Going against one of the best defenses in the NFL. That makes me feel a lot better about cutting them some slack against that. I absolutely am against cutting them slack in that game if the Steelers went ahead and shot the bed for the rest of the year, but the Steelers locked up the Broncos, made the Broncos look completely inept on offense, even though they looked inept on offense. They also scored a touchdown against the Broncos. They did not score a touchdown against us. We held Philly to 2 touchdowns, but only 21 points. So there's a lot of improvement in this game. Now, I don't look at this game and say, all right, let's get excited for a Super Bowl the rest of the season. But given what we've seen out of Tampa Bay and New Orleans, this was damn near a must win, right? And I think most of us had the Falcons 2-3 to start the year, 1-4 to start the year. Maybe if you were the super optimistic fan, maybe you said 3, whatever. But the Falcons, this almost turned into a must-win game because if you had the Falcons winning one of the early games, it was probably against the Steelers. That loss at home against the Steelers, especially with the Steelers only scoring 18 points, that sucked real hard. But the Falcons were able to come back. They were able to hang the W up on Philly in Philly, makes you feel way more confident going against the Chiefs next week in Atlanta, especially because the Chiefs still are not an unbeatable offense, right? So the Chiefs, they scored 26 points last week. They scored a touchdown on defense, so they only scored 19 points last week. And then against the Ravens, I don't remember what the final score was. They did not look overwhelming on offense, right? So they looked good. They looked decent. They did not look overwhelming on offense. They did not look overwhelming on offense against the Bengals, and the Falcons have them. I think and I'm looking forward to the game next week. One of the things I was looking forward to that I didn't point out in any previous video, I'm gonna go ahead and point it out now. I'm gonna point it out in the next video that I put out about them, which is that the Falcons, the year Raheem Morris was a interim head coach was, when the Chiefs played the Bucks in the Super Bowl, the Falcons actually went to Kansas City and they put the cuffs on the Chiefs. The Falcons ended up losing by 3 because Younghoe Koo missed. I think they lost by 3, but it might have been lost by less than that, and that was a game. I can't remember if it was a game-winning field goal or a game-time field goal. But the Falcons were right there with the Chiefs. And the Chiefs looked good that year, but the Falcons' defense exposed them, and that was Raheem Morris calling that defense that go ahead and expose them a little and put them on the ropes. I fully expect Raheem to come out and put them on the ropes again this time. Hopefully, I know it's hope, but this, because of what I saw tonight, this is what I was hoping the defense was going to look like. So I'm gonna go ahead and call that now. That I think next week they're gonna go ahead and maybe they'll do a lot of what they did before, limit the Chiefs offense, and we'll see what the Falcons can do against that Chiefs defense. Now, we scored 22 tonight. I don't know if 22 is going to be enough next week, but guess what that is? A problem for next week. Guess what that is? A problem for next week, because right now the Falcons won. I'm excited. Really needed to feel this win today. Got a lot of stuff going on. I'm not going to go ahead and bog it down with that, but I needed to see the Falcons win tonight. Falcons win tonight. Once I get a chance to go over the game a little bit more, as much as I can anyway, I'll go ahead and release another video. But I did want to go ahead and release a rapid reaction tonight. Love to see what the Falcons did. Falcons won 22-21. And I think that's all I want to talk about tonight. So thank you for watching this episode. If you are interested in the content, if you like the content, if you want to go ahead, comment on the content, love to see it. Go ahead, like, subscribe, comment, whichever of the 3 you want to do. If you want to watch the video and that's all, that's cool. Just go ahead and give the content a chance. If you have more you want to say about it, I would love to hear more about it. But otherwise, thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for being a Falcons fan and just being around with me. You have a great day, and thank you so much. Talk to you next time.